The world's oceans are deep, dark pits of mystery, and we never know what we'll find inside them. From creatures no one has even imagined about to structures that look like they were built by some ancient underwater civilization, all sorts of strange and unfathomable things have been discovered in the ocean. And today we'll tell you all about 20 of the most shocking things found deep in the waters humanity has barely navigated up until now. But first, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to hit the subscribe button. The Nautilus Reef. Nautilus is the name given to various kinds of ships in the past, so it's only fair for people to assume that the Nautilus Reef would be an oceanic reef housing many diverse marine creatures. But there's more to it. This reef is sort of a tribute to a very famous video game character. It's called the Nautilus Project or the Nautilus Reef, and it was named after the champion-themed artificial reef of the popular game League of Legends. This is located at the Moreton Bay off the coast of Queensland, Australia, and was a project donated by the gaming fans of the OCE region. The names of donors are engraved in a plaque beneath the depth of the ocean. League of Legends players contributed money to install a statue of the champion called Nautilus in the water. They wanted him to be present in the ocean and become an artificial reef. Most artificial reefs are pretty basic, but this structure got covered by the natural constituents of reefs in just 1 year, and many animals live there now. The plaque with the donor's name is also fully covered now. Icy Finger of Death. In the depths of the oceans, particularly in the colder places, you might find a series of strange ice formations called the ice fingers or brinicles. A finger of ice doesn't seem very exciting, but some of these can grow up to be longer than a human being. These ice fingers are formed by something called brine and is much more dense than the water surrounding it. As it descends deeper into the water, it gets colder and eventually freezes to form an actual ice statue beneath the water. These keep growing and evolving over time, and more often than not, they resemble human fingers. Many divers go deep into the freezing waters to record the footage of growing brinicles on camera. They aren't alive, but they can kill marine life with their icy touch and then grow around them. Black smokestacks. No one expects to see smoke rising from the ocean floor, so most of the time what seems like smoke is dust from the ocean floor that's being pushed by the current. But back in 1977, scientists researching in the Galapagos Islands picked up a temperature anomaly. When they reached the source, they found plumes of superhot black mineral-rich water was blowing out of chimneys projecting out from the sea floor. These stacks rose about 100 feet up from the vents. This was the first ever hydrothermal vent to be discovered, and these two were only found because they were in a submarine almost 2,000 feet below sea level. The vents are connected to the Earth's core, and the water they shoot out is more than 350 degrees Celsius, but it doesn't boil. Ghost Fleet of Truk Lagoon. The Ghost Fleet of Truk Lagoon comprises an entire fleet of ships from the Second World War era. These are now lying underwater near the Carolina Islands of the South Pacific, and this used to be home base for the main Japanese fleet of warships at a point during the Second World War. It was also known as the Imperial Fleet back then. These ships ended up in the ocean after the infamous Operation Hailstorm or the Japanese Pearl Harbor. Bombers of the Allied forces destroyed hundreds of these ships that still lie on the ocean floor. But over time, the marine life has grown around and inside these ships, and now it's a very popular dive site for wrecks of the war. The Great Blue Hole. The Great Blue Hole is a very popular spot and divers love to explore it. Both above and below, there are lots of fascinating things to see. You get to see a variety of sharks and other beautiful marine creatures. This is actually a sinkhole that formed underwater and created the spot. People like to swim here and witness the animals that live here. It is a revered dive site, but the waters here are quite unpredictable, and so are the inhabitants. Only experienced divers are encouraged to swim down there and enjoy nature at its best. The water is crystal clear in the hole and often disturbs the perception of distance. Not to mention the sharks there attack you and harm your equipment. SS Thistlegorm. This is a sunken ship, revered as a great dive site. According to some, it is one of the best wreck dives in the world. The SS Thistlegorm is a World War II shipwreck found in the north of the Red Sea in the Strait of Gubal. Back in the day, its 127-meter-long British transport ship was sunk in 1941 following a German air attack. Many ships were sunk during the war by German bombers or the U-boats, unfortunately. When the ship went down, it was carrying 2 locomotives, 2 tanks, army trucks, jeeps, motorbikes, boots, huge numbers of rifles and spare parts for planes and other vehicles. The ship was pretty loaded when it was attacked, and everything on it went down with it. The Lost City of Herakleion. Heracleion was a significant ancient Egyptian city often referred to as the gateway to Egypt. When it went underwater, the city gained a new name, the Lost Kingdom of Cleopatra. Experts believe that multiple earthquakes, tidal waves and floods contributed to its sinking. The powerful city couldn't win against nature's will. It was rediscovered in the year 2000 AD, just 2 kilometers from Alexandria. Divers found it by accident when they randomly found a rock fragment that stood out to them. This led them to find more fragments like the first one, and they continued to dive again and again in order to unearth some artifacts from the ancient city. Afterwards, sonar and other techniques were used to locate the entire city that's so big that archaeologists think it would take them a year to study what they found. Yonaguni Monument. This underwater monument was found just off the coast in Okinawa, Japan. The creepy structure was discovered accidentally by a diver in the 1980s who was studying hammerhead sharks. For decades after its discovery, many scientists and scholars studied and analyzed the Yonaguni Monument, but they still haven't come to a solid conclusion regarding its origin and purpose. Some say it was a man-made structure built by ancient civilization before it sank into the ocean, while others think that this is a natural formation and the waves and water currents contributed to its creation over many years. So far, there's no proof supporting either one of the theories. Turtle Graveyard. The infamous explorer Jacques Cousteau and his team were visiting the islands of Sipadan just off the coast of Borneo back in the 1980s. They were filming a documentary about the crystalline waters of this place when they stumbled upon a very unsettling sight. While exploring the waters, they found a mysterious cave that was filled up to the brim with the bones of dead turtles. Cousteau believed that this graveyard of turtles formed only because the turtles went there to die in peace, but later the horrifying truth was revealed. The turtles entered the cave but got lost in the complex tunnels within it. They were unable to find their way out and eventually drowned. The cave entrance isn't very deep, so turtles would find it and swim inside it only to find out that it was several hundred meters deep. Antikythera mechanism. This ancient device has been dubbed the ancient computer by scientists and honestly makes us question the accuracy of human history. The Antikythera mechanism dates back to the 200 BC era near Greece. This was thousands of years before anyone even thought of true computers. The device was recovered from a shipwreck found in 1900 near the Greek island Antikythera, after which it had been named. The old analog computer was apparently used to determine what would happen in the world without any databases or electrical requirements. Experts have revealed that it was used to determine the positions of various stars and to find out when the next solar or lunar eclipse would occur. This means it was an important navigation tool, but no one knows for sure how the ancient Greeks made such a precise device in those times. Huge eyeball. Back in 2012, this huge eyeball belonging to a marine beast washed up on the beach in Florida. Everyone who saw it got freaked out. After all, it looked terrifying. It wasn't attached to any animal carcass, so it was hard to deduce whether the creature it was attached to was attacked or if it was cut out by a fisherman. Scientists will probably analyze it in detail and figure out what type of animal it belongs to. One theory is that the fish attached to this eyeball probably died and the decomposition of its body caused the eyeball to pop out and wash up on the shore. But we'll never really know what happened exactly. Cleopatra Palace. Cleopatra is considered one of the most important historical figures for being the greatest female ruler of ancient times. Including her tomb, many things belonging to her were lost after her death. One of those is the Cleopatra Palace that was located on the sunken island of Antiherodus. Frank Addio, a French archaeologist, was the one to rediscover the palace in 1998. Along with the palace, he also unraveled a treasure trove of artifacts that had evaded mankind for about 2,000 years. The island probably sank back in the day due to earthquakes that caused tsunamis. Underwater train wreck. This train wreck was discovered underwater in New Jersey. The mysterious thing about it is that no one actually knows what happened to the train or how it got there. It's not actually an entire train either. Instead, it's a set of 2 carts that have remained underwater for about 100 years or more, and nobody knows what happened to the unfortunate train. In fact, the carts do have identity numbers, but despite that, people have failed to trace back their origins. This creepy mystery will probably never get resolved, but on the bright side, this underwater wreck has become a popular dive site. Sunken city of Baia. This sunken city dates back to the glorious days of the Roman Empire. It wasn't just a city though, the city served as a luxury resort and vacation spot for the empire's elite. The rich, influential and corrupt people from ancient Rome frequented the city of Baia. The place was a hotspot of hedonism, But like many other magnificent places, people forgot about it and it was abandoned. This is when the nature reclaimed the city. Volcanic activity eventually caused the city to sink underwater and it remained forgotten until it was rediscovered. Atlet Yam. Atlet Yam was a pretty unimpressive village that went underwater like many others, except this is a Neolithic village according to archaeologists, which means it existed sometime between 6900 and 6300 BC. The village is thousands of years older than most of the other sunken cities modern humans have discovered. The underwater village also has numerous artifacts from the time it was inhabited by ancient humans. And besides these things, these remains have been found in the graveyards and they tell us more about the burial customs and practices of the inhabitants of this historic village. Sunken city of Cuba. The infamous island nation of Cuba also has its very own sunken city. Some scuba divers conducting studies during the early 2000s were left baffled when their sonar picked up structures almost 2,000 feet below sea level. When they dived underwater to take a look at these, they realized these were ancient buildings and definitely looked man-made. But like the Okinawa Monument, there were conflicting theories about what these were and how long ago they were built. For a while, many thought that the discovery was a hoax, but it was definitely not. But that's what happens when people have a hard time finding logical answers. They make up wild stories. Baltic Sea Anomaly. This is a famous underwater structure located 300 feet below the surface in the Baltic Sea. It was discovered by divers back in 2011. The structure has definitely been around for a long time and it looks an awful lot like the Millennium Falcon from the popular Star Wars Enterprise. The mysterious structure has puzzled scientists and archaeologists alike as they still haven't figured out what it is, how it was formed, or what purpose it serves. Some divers who went down to explore have claimed that electronic devices shut down around it. This information only strengthened the belief of many who claim that it is some sort of alien craft. Purple Orb. In 2016, just off the coast of California, a group of scientists doing research in a submarine found a crack in a rock wall. Inside the crack, they noticed something glowing when the light hit it. That thing was the purple orb, and scientists who found it had no idea what it was. They decided to vacuum it onto the ship to take a closer look. The purple orb then unfolded into two parts when manipulated. This led them to assume it was some sort of mollusk that walks around on one foot. But one of the scientists aboard the submarine also thinks it was nothing besides a trick of the light, and the purple orb was probably inanimate. Zemchog Canyon. The oceans are full of strange naturally formed structures that took so many years to form, like canyons, fissures in the ocean floor, and more. The Zemchog Canyon is unbelievably huge. It's actually deeper than the Grand Canyon, having a depth of 2.6 kilometers. It is by far the biggest underwater canyon in the world based on its drainage area and volume. Incredible cold, oxygen-rich water wells up in the canyon and supports a vibrant variety of life forms. It's huge, it's deep, and it's a popular habitat. There are many species in the canyon that are yet to be discovered by marine biologists who can't help but be mesmerized by the immensity of this submarine landmark. Before moving to number 1 on this list, take a look at this image. This man discovered something super shocking in the water. He is a diver who luckily stumbled upon an actual underwater sarcophagus at the bottom of the Red Sea. He also claimed it was full of gold and ancient artifacts. Toxic underwater river. Believe it or not, there are actual rivers inside of an ocean. In fact, there are many, and all of these have their own currents and inhabitants. In the Yucatan Peninsula, there are sinkholes like the famous Cenote Angelita that cause the formation of various underwater rivers, one of which is surrounded by a very toxic gas known as hydrogen sulfide. If the divers who go down there try breathing in this water, they would most likely die. It isn't just a thin layer of toxic gas, it's actually an inevitable 10-foot thick layer that needs to be traversed with extreme care. No one really knows why or how it formed, but this poisonous trap deep in the ocean speaks volumes about the mysterious ways in which nature works. We hope you enjoyed learning about these mind-boggling underwater discoveries. Tell us in the comments below which one you found most interesting. We'll be back soon with another amazing video. Until then, have a great time.